London Real, sponsored by Bulletproof Coffee.
Now, we're seeing a lot more, I think, more lately in these days that people are actually looking at their work schedules. And I think you interviewed some very famous people and some media personalities, and they said, look, I'm working 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
You know, we had a guy on here on our parallel show called Silicon Reel, and he says he leaves by example.
Yeah.
As in, he gets out of the work at 6 o'clock every night.
Yes.
And he wants people to see that. And he's like, look, you know, I understand you have personal lives, you got to be productive. So are we getting better? Even in America, are people looking at their relationship with work and making the changes?
It seems like some people are actually waking up to that and talking about this cult of overwork. You know, this mindless worship of people who just work the most hours.
Yeah.
As if you're worth more to the company when you work 80 hours than when you work 40.
Right.
Which turns out
startups. It's also very
especially in startups. Yeah.
Right.
Which turns out not to be true. I mean, they've done the productivity studies. And it turns out that if you work 60 hours every week, you actually don't get more work done than the people who work 40 hours a week. Because when you work that many hours, 60 hours a week, you become stressed, tired, you make more mistakes, and you're less creative. You're in a completely different cognitive space. And you talked about sleep earlier. You can't sleep as well. You can't enjoy your free time as much. So it's a stupid thing. And what I think companies need to do is forget all about the hours. There's a software company in San Francisco called GitHub, and they say very clearly, they say hours are bullshit.
Okay.
What matters is results. What kind of results do you get? Do you do a good job? And if you do that, we don't care how many hours you work.
Okay. Now, there's going to be corporations, guys that work at corporations listening right now, managers, maybe even some CEOs.
Yeah.
And they're probably thinking, Alex, you know, what do I really need to do if I walk into work the next day? You know, what are some just basic changes I can make to get, say I've got a team of 20 working for me. What kind of basic changes I can make to make them happier, address some issues, or make them at least feel happier? I mean, that's got to be a lot of it.
Well, happiness is how it's about how you feel. You know, when people are at work, when they're at their desks doing their jobs, how do they feel? Are they in a good mood most of the time? You know, do they feel proud, fulfilled, engaged, motivated, liked, appreciated, happy? Or are they at their desks most of the time feeling nervous, depressed, stressed, frustrated, angry, and sad? That's really what it's about. And we know from the science that when people are in a good mood, when they experience positive emotions, they are much more productive at what they do, they're more creative, and so on. So the question is really, how can I make my people happy at work? And it comes back to results, relationships. That's what, as a manager, that is what you need to create for your employees.
Okay.
Do your people have everything they need to do a really good job? And do you tell them when they do a really good job? Do you make sure to praise people who perform well? Do you make sure to celebrate success?
Right.
In a lot of companies, they only talk about the things that go wrong.
Right.
And if something goes right, it's never mentioned again. And I think that's incredibly stupid.
Right. So the last chapter of your book is called Celebrate, right?
Celebrate, exactly. We've got to celebrate
And you
success.
see a lot of startups doing that. You see a lot of startups that have that, you know, big celebration. Let's reward ourselves. Let's go out for the night. Let's do that.
Yes, and I think that's a fantastic thing to do. And then somewhere along the way, they become corporate and they lose it, right?
Right.
When they become too big or too successful.
Right.
And they think we need to be like everybody else, and they start making the same mistakes that all the other big workplaces are making, right?
Right.
And so think in terms of results. Do my employees have everything they need to do a good job? Am I giving them the right education, support, backup, whatever they need? And also relationships. You know, do these people feel personally valued in the workplace?
Okay, how do you do that? That's complicated.
That's actually not complicated.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's easy, because it takes a lot for a manager to actually connect with your employees, but that's how you do it. Here's a very, very simple thing you can do. You can say good morning to your employees.
All right.
A lot of managers don't. They just come in, they go into their own office, close the door, start working. And that's a mistake. You know, go around to your employees, you know, say a cheerful good morning. Show your people that you value them, that you look forward to a day together with them. It's such a simple thing to do, but your employees will notice if you do it. They will also notice if you don't. Connect with your people. Make sure that you understand your people. Make sure that you understand their needs and their dreams and their ambitions. For my book, I interviewed the most famous business leader in Denmark, a guy called Lars Kolind. He led a turnaround of a Danish company in the 90s that became a business case that's studied all over the world. And I asked him, Lars, what is your most important skill as a manager, as a leader? And he said, my most important skill is that I can understand the different needs of different people.